Going to go ahead and get started. Um, First of all, thank everybody for joining us for this Cafecito.
Cafecito.
I want to thank everybody for joining us, especially the candidates. And we have an opportunity to move forward with new blood, possibly. We say possible, because everybody understands that this is our school board is a nonpartisan. Right? You understand that they're not Democrats or Republicans. But I wanted to share with you guys that we want to make sure this is done in a very professional way. Alamo Community College District's security will escort anybody out that's causing concerns here. So I will go get them and ask them to please remove you from this session, because it's all about listening to our candidates, see what they have to take our district to a different level. Okay. So we wanted to say thank you all for joining us. We're gonna open up in prayer and we're gonna close in prayer. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Dr. Longoria to open us up in prayer, and I'll go ahead and close us in prayer. And if you would just respect the prayer, if you're not a Christian or practice, just go ahead and put your headphones on if you don't want to hear the prayer, because we're all about, serving God. And this, as for me and my family, we're going to serve the Lord. So I wanted to share that with you to make sure that everybody understands that. And I want to take away from people who maybe follow Satan, that's your choice. But I'm following the law. So, Dr. Longoria, would you please open us up in prayer?
Thank you, Tim. Can I please have you lower your head or come your hands as you feel comfortable with? Let us pray. Dear Lord, we are gathered here in the spirit of unity and community. Help us to understand why we are here and the responsibilities that each of us have, including the candidates, for the betterment of this community. Keep us safe, bless us all. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Can I add something? Because of that noise that you hear in the background, that I ask the speakers to kind of speak a little louder so everyone can hear. Thank you.
I think that's the air conditioners.
Ready? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I do appreciate you all coming. I will give you a brief introduction. Who is this chica over here talking? And I would love to introduce myself. My name is Maribel Gardea. I am a mom first of two boys that are young, 13 and 15. I'm a wife to Victor, which I always like to introduce my familia because you are also my familia. I'm a community educator. I'm an advocate for the community as well. I'm activist for equity in education. And I'm the executive director of Mindshift Parent Institute. That Parent Institute was instilled for parents and community members to understand the education system y también en español. So we do classes in Spanish and English for parents and community members to make sure they know how to navigate the education system. But the reason that I'm here today is because I believe that the community should always be involved, should always know and educate themselves so that we can vote, because voting is our power. And so we will start today. We also believe with Mindshift that I wanted to mention that our mission is to elevate educational outcomes by empowering and organizing guardians of students with special needs, regardless of diagnosis or education labels, and despite any language barriers. Okay, thank you so much.
Can I go ahead and share with you the sponsors of this event? We have this is Leopold's company, Mindshift Ed, and Mr. Jose Macias. Could you please stand, please? And just give us just a synopsis of your organization, because you're one of our main sponsors for this event.
Well, you're too kind, Tim. Jose Macias, for those that may not know me, I'm the executive director of Unity 37, which is focused on inspiring and educating children and their parents on how to achieve more success in their academic journey. So right now we're working with middle school students. We've identified that as a really difficult age. And obviously, I digress, but I wouldn't recognize Melody Herrera is on our board, and, Ms. Belinda Pinion is also on our steering committee, and my staff member Barb. So there's a bunch of us, as well as Jubilee, she serves as a mentor for our children as well. Thank you for that comment.
Thank you.
Awesome. We good? All right. And I do want to mention Mindship, that is a nonprofit organization. We do not endorse any candidates. You will not hear us talk about who we like or who we dislike, nor we will ask you to follow anybody in particular because we are a nonprofit. We're here to train the community about the best, about the leaders and their learning opportunities. We are here to ask questions and gain answers, and only to give you the opportunity to make an informed decision. So that is why we're here today. So let's kind of tell you how we're going to do this, right? Let me tell you why we're here. So the school board candidates are going to be asked questions. We have pre-selected questions from the community. We've asked questions to be sent to us. And with those, we have created a large list of questions. We might not cover them all, but I will leave some room for the community to ask questions if they didn't hear what they wanted to hear at the end for the last 15 to 20 minutes, okay? So I will start asking questions. Every single candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. They do not have to use the entire 2 minutes, but they can if they choose. So if they get a question and they answer in 5 seconds, that's okay, right? That's okay. They just have an allotment of 2 minutes. Every candidate will answer the same question just so that you can hear what they have to say. And they have not had the questions handed to them. They don't know what they're going to get. A lot of our questions are pertaining based on our community, on safety, on engagement of community, and issues that maybe community solve. Okay, great. Y también si alguien necesita traducción, si me pueden decir, va a ser un poquito más difícil porque luego lo va a hacer hasta las 10 de la noche, no se preocupen. Pero sí, de veras, si necesitan esa traducción, aquí también podemos, con Vero sabe español, les podemos ayudar. O si quieren verme después y les podemos explicar lo que pasó y también voy a intentar a grabar y mandarlo en español también para la comunidad. Gracias. Y si los candidatos saben español y quieren contestar en español, también sería ideal. Okay? Yes. I do want to remind everybody about the responsibilities of a board and what they do, because a lot of us are like, what do they do? The responsibilities of a board are to adopt goals and priorities and monitor success, adopt policies and review for effectiveness, hire and evaluate the superintendent, adopt a budget and set a tax rate, communicate with the community. Those are their responsibilities. Let's go ahead and get started. I actually want to make sure we're letting them introduce themselves as well. So we can go ahead and start here with Ms. Dorothy, and we can go down the line and introduce yourself and just a little short of anything you want to say. Go ahead, Ms. Dorothy.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Borjas. I am a mother of 2 beautiful girls. I do have a partner that supports me in everything I do. I am very family oriented. Family comes first, always. And I love helping people. So if you need resources, I'm your source. So
Thank you, Dorothy. Go ahead, sir. Mr. Rudy.
Can y'all hear me back there? All right, very good. How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for coming out tonight, first of all. I know it's hard for you to get away from your busy schedules, but I appreciate y'all coming out here tonight and listening to what our ideas are, and I am here to listen to what your concerns are. My name is Rudy Lopez, and I am a graduate of Kennedy High School, class of '89, and a product of the Edgewood District. I have been a proud citizen of the Edgewood District for just a little bit over 54 years now. I am a community leader. I have been serving the Thompson Neighborhood Association for just a little bit over 10 years now. In that time, I have worked on many projects with the Thompson Neighborhood Association, from streets, lighting, sidewalks, trying to bring in a hospital that went in on Couples Road. One of my greatest achievements and one of the proudest achievements that I did during the time that I was president of the Thompson Neighborhood Association was, if any of y'all ever go to Kennedy Park, the playground there, when the city came to us with only $250,000 to put in a new playground, I laughed at that and I said, that's just going to get eaten up by the engineers. But I told them at that time, that I was gonna find someone to pay for that park, for that playground. And I found somebody to pay for that playground. And now we have a new playground for our kids, plus the covers over at the basketball court. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is I've always worked for my community. I've always worked for the Thompson Neighborhood Association. I've always tried to work closely with the Edgewood District. And I plan on doing all the things that I've done for my community for the Edgewood District as well. I'm gonna give it all my time. I'm gonna give it all my thought. And it will always be in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Excuse me, if you would, if you have a cell phone or mobile phone, could you please turn it on vibrate? So you won't interrupt our recording here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jubilee Peña?
I'm Jubilee Peña, and I'm a proud part of Edgewood. I graduated in 2023 from Kennedy High School, and I want to ensure every student has the right tools in early college, in special education, in tutoring, and in mental health.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio Delgado.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sergio Delgado. I graduated from Kennedy, 2005. I am a disabled veteran as well. My goals are pretty much to make sure that the schools are properly, I guess, funded in a sense. You know, we don't need any more school closures. We lose schools closures, we lose funding. So we need guidance in there, and make sure my goals are to, you know, bring more kids in as much as possible. Food and health and all that inside the school itself needs to be looked at as well. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Richard Santoya?
Good evening, my name is Richard Santoya. Retired firefighter, retired in 2015. 2016, I finally did something that I had wanted to do for most of my life, like came back to San Antonio, to serve my community. I had the opportunity to do that in the board of managers. Was created in 2016, served there for I think 3 years. Ran for the board and been on the board since 2016 as the manager. I'm born and raised in Edgewood School District, and I wanted to serve my community, so I found the calling, much like these candidates have found calling to serve the community, and I've been serving my community since 2016.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and round of applause for everybody that's here. I would like to point out that there is supposed to be 6 candidates here present today. One candidate did not either declined or was not able to come. Ms. Marta Castilla, I believe is her name, and she is not here today. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, let's get started with our questions, and we're kind of going to go down the line and then we'll go backwards, right? So to be fair. So let's go with the first one. What are the key changes that you believe are necessary to improve our district's performance and culture? And how will you ensure these changes align with the community expectations? Do you all need me to repeat it again? What are the key changes that you believe are necessary to improve our district's performance and culture? And how will you ensure that these changes align with the community expectations? And then we're going to go with Miss Dorothy, and I'm going to set a timer. Hopefully it does go off. Tell me if it does. Yes. Okay, go ahead, Miss Dorothy.
So for one, we need to increase our parent involvement. We need to have parents involved in the children's education, not just in elementary, but in middle school and in high school. They need to be in campus to go ahead and help, because without the parents, our students are not becoming successful, because our parents don't know what's going on in the school districts or in the school. We need to educate our parents. We need to speak the language of our parents and families, because our parents don't understand, like, for example, Title I. They don't know what Title I entails. They don't know what it means and what benefits them as a parent. Another thing is also getting quality education. We need to have quality education for our students. We need to have them reading by the end, at least by second grade, not just pushing them through the cracks. And I think that's it that I can think of on the top of my mind.
Thank you, Mr. Actually, I might.
Somebody, Bill, I heard two things in there. I heard key changes and I heard culture. Is that correct?
Yes,
Those are the two things
changes
there.
and culture.
Right. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to learn how we're going to compete with these charter schools, because these charter schools are coming in left and right. And Edgewood hasn't seemed to have been able to catch up with these charter schools. So we need to see what it is that they're doing. Why are people going to charter schools? And what can Edgewood do to copy what these charter schools are doing? Because I guarantee you that we're going to keep on losing kids until we catch up with the charters. One of the things that we also need to do is we need to be talking to our elected officials to make charter schools more accountable to the people. Right now, charter schools don't have the same thing that the districts do, which is a school board, which is held accountable for what's happening in our school district. So we need to make sure that our elected officials aren't just giving money away to charter schools. We need to make sure our elected officials are also holding those charter schools as accountable as the schools in the districts. The other thing we need to do is we need to empower our parents. A lot of our parents, we talk about our parents that they need to become more involved, but a lot of our parents are working 2 and 3 jobs, right? And so when can they be with their kids? So we need to also empower our parents by educating our parents. We got 2 schools that closed. We got Winston and Wren that closed. I believe that that's a perfect opportunity for us to take our parents and train them in other jobs and skills where they can move up on that income bracket. So they don't have to be working 2 jobs and not being able to be with their kids, right? So we need to be able to educate our parents so that they're empowered to be at home with their kids. Culture. Now, I'm not sure what they meant by culture, but the last time I looked, every single person in here is a part of our culture. Somos mexicanos, americanos. We all speak Spanish, most of us anyways, I do. But we are the culture. The culture might be changing a little bit, but we are the culture.
Dorothy said, because it improved so many kids' attendance, and since PTA would provide gaming days, pizza days, movie days, it encouraged the students to want to go to school. And seeing their parents there, it enhanced safety within the school too, because knowing their parents are there and involved, it boosts their confidence too. And another thing I'd like for the buildings that have been closed down, tutoring, because a lot of our students are lacking the tutoring that they need. A lot of the teachers in special ed and early college, they're not certified teachers, they're proctors. And most of my teachers, I speak from experience, said use YouTube, use Google. I didn't want that. I wanted the tutor. I needed the teacher to teach me because I was lacking those skills. Yes, I might have graduated with honors. I might have graduated with early college. I might have got my associates, but I didn't get what I wanted from Edgewood. I wanted more tutoring, more skills, and more mental health, because a lot of these students did not feel worthy enough, did not feel they were good enough to be in these programs. A lot of them dropped out, and now what I've heard is that only 10 students could be in the early college because we don't have the successful rates. In my class, only 5 people graduated in the early college. And we started off with 200, 300 students, and only this amount of students graduated.
I mean, it's an echo, parent engagement, it's the biggest thing ever. If parents, you gotta get them involved. Best way to do it is to get out there, survey the parents, ask them what we can do to, maybe help them get more engaged with their kids. Find out what we can do as the board to, hey, this is what we can maybe install into the school program and find out, hey, can you do this? Can we make this happen for you? So your kids can get the proper education they need. Kids skip, everyone knows. I mean, we all were kids, we all skip. We gotta make sure these kids are actually in school, doing what they need to do. And another thing is making sure these teachers are getting properly trained to make sure these kids are getting the proper education they need. I mean, there's, and it's all I can really think of, this is more engagement, whatever we can do to get these parents involved, we gotta figure it out as a board, figure it out. Cause that's our job, to figure it out, to figure out what we need so that parents can feel safe, feel, entitled to help their kid out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Work backwards. The culture, I feel, is that most of the time, and I'm gonna say this to ruffle any feathers, the parents, or whoever's raising them, grandparents, uncles, aunts, whoever's raising these kids, not necessarily just the parents, send the kids to school and give it up. You go to school, you learn what you're gonna be taught, and then when you bring it home, there's no help. There's no one at home who understands the computer, no one at home who understands the work, as difficult as it may be in the upper grades, in high school, for example. So we need to have the kids themselves believe that they can do the work. If you don't have a child that believes they can do it, I don't care how many days or how many hours you push that child to go to school, they're not gonna take it in because they don't feel as if they're getting the help that they need, the support they need from home. So that's very important. The culture needs to change, where you need to have your child, not only when he comes home with his homework, but also to be interested in what they're doing in school. Okay, changes that need to be made are those changes by the community, by the parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, brothers and sisters. Sometimes they're raising their own siblings, sending them to school. The changes that need to be made is, a lot of it is on our part, utilizing the budget, the way we should do it properly. But a lot of it is on the state and on the funding. If you don't get the funding to have additional teachers, to have the support teachers, to have teachers who are educated, who have degrees and have the knowledge of their subject, they're teaching, you're not gonna get it taught. So,
Wrapping it up.
so the funding is very important. And with that, like I said, if we're losing kids, we're losing funding.
Thank you so much. Trust has been eroded with certain parts of the community. Can you outline specific actions that you would take to rebuild the trust with families and ensure that they feel heard, respected, and involved in decision-making? And I'm gonna go ahead and start with Mr. Richard, por favor.
We have, before our board, any public meeting we have, be it a board meeting or a workshop, we have a public session. We want the public to come and speak on the items that we have on the agenda. Sometimes we only have a handful come in and speak on it. That's the trust, that's what we want, the space that we have in order to hear what it is that you want to have done or what you feel is deficient. We ourselves are not going out to parents' homes, it's homes or to schools, meet them to talk about what it is that they need. That task is done by administration, from the superintendent on down. So like you mentioned, one of the obligations we have as a board is to make sure our policies and priorities are set. They're transferred to the superintendent, who in turn acts upon it. And it's his job, not the board's job, to do that, gathering information, what they feel or don't feel is important in the schools. So unless we hear from it firsthand in a meeting, any one of the two meetings that I noted, or even coming up to us, it's not that we're not available to you. After a meeting, before a meeting, we're available to you, and we know your concerns. Like I said, these items, whatever is done directly with the parent, is done by administration and the school.
Thank you, sir.
So, I've been to a few board meetings. I'm new to this, so I put my foot in the door, trying to see what's going on. I've been to a few board meetings, and open communication is the biggest thing. I need to have open communication. A few times that I've been to a board meeting, there's always been a closed doors, or they're not talking correctly to each other, or they picking at each other, not being adults. You know, the last one I was at, when someone called someone else a name, it was very unprofessional. So we need very open communication with the community, whether or not, if it's the board us doing it or not, maybe figuring out a way we can go out there and survey the community, find out what the board needs to do to help these parents trust us, to regain their trust. Because if we don't have the trust of the parents, then there's no reason for a board. We're not gonna get anything done if we don't have the parents back. So we need to figure out what we can do to earn their trust, whether it is as a board member, going out there on a day to talk to the parents, survey the parents, whatever it is, however we can do it, whatever we need to do it to gain their trust back. And by sitting down behind a chair is not gonna do it. So we need to get out there and actually figure it out.
Thank you so much. All right, go ahead, Ms. Jubilee.
We need open communication and we need to be more transparent with our parents. And we just, like he was saying, we need to go out and do surveys, say what they wanted, like improve Edgewood and improve the trust that we're losing because we're not giving the student the right education they need. They need more things that we don't have. And
Let me repeat, you want me to repeat the
Yes.
question? The trust has been eroded with certain parts of the community. Can you outline specific actions you would take to rebuild the trust with families and ensure that they feel heard, respected, and involved in the district decision-making process?
I would say the board needs to host a meeting where some people work in the morning, some work night shifts. We need to do one like in the morning and one at night. We need to host multiple meetings and have these open communications and more discussions for the community to say, we need this change and we want this change in our community.
Thank you. Mr. Wood?
Let me know when to start.
Yes.
Starting, okay. I, like many people in the district, at times was disenchanted with things that the school board was doing. So I understand how that could have been eroded away, how that trust has been eroded away. But what I think we need to do is we need to have a data-driven school board. We need to go out and take surveys with the parents. We need to talk to the parents. And we need to put that in all together in one data sheet to see what the concerns are and where we're lacking transparency. Transparency with any school board or any government body is very important. We need to make sure that the parents are seeing what we're doing, understand what we're doing, and if they complain, we need to know why they're complaining or why they're losing us. So that's very important. One of the things that I remember was really, really well that Dr. Hernandez did was the pláticas. Do you remember those? I like the pláticas because he came out to the people's neighborhoods and talked to the people about what their concerns were. I haven't seen that happen in quite some time. I believe that that's one way that we can get to the parents by having these pláticas. The other thing we need to do is when we know that there's a problem with the parents or certain groups, we need to make sure that we're reaching out to those folks and trying to understand what their concerns are, meeting them where they're at home, at the school, in the lunch lines. We need to be there doing that as well. So that's one way that I'm done. Okay. So that's one way we need to do that. I'm about empowering the parents, and we need to have the parents come up and talk to us. In whatever way we can talk to the parents, or whatever way they can talk to us. I do understand the school board meeting, and we're done.
Time's up.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Trust has been eroded with certain parts of the community. Can you outline specific actions that you would take to rebuild trust with families and ensure that they feel heard, respected, and involved in decision-making?
For one, during a school board, we shouldn't put a time limit on community voicing their opinions. We need to hear what they have to say. Whether it's gonna take 5 minutes, yes, it's their time. They took the time out to come and speak their concerns, so we need to listen because we were voted for, because we are our community's voice. So we are your voice, so we need to listen to you. You voted us in, so it's my job, if I was to be in the school board, to be your voice for your student. We need to have an open door policy. Not meaning, oh, I'm booked, or my schedule's full. See me in October, see me in December, when I'm available. No, if you need to speak to me or speak to anybody, you need to be able to be there. I should be there at your beck and call to allow you to hear your concern. We need to be present, and we also need to be willing to be wanting to help you. Because if who's gonna want to go to somebody that doesn't want to listen to my concerns? Or you're not gonna be wanting to come to me and say, oh, pues, ella, ¿por qué? Like, why am I gonna go to her if she's not gonna listen? So we need to be open and willing to help. And that's it.
Language barriers are a significant issue for many families in the community. What concrete steps will you take to improve language accessibility in school communications and services to ensure that non-English speaking families can fully engage in schools? You good with that? Go ahead, Mr. Sergio.
Well, unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish that well. My mom, I was raised by my mom, so I don't have that, I wasn't blessed to learn two languages. So, but what we can do is try to, figure out, maybe we could get a translator, maybe have someone available at all times. If there's a meeting with a parent that is, only speaks Spanish, then, find a way to break that barrier, get a translator there, or have a translator at school, or figure out maybe programs we can have them download. Nowadays, everyone's got a smartphone, and maybe we can do, voice communications over the phone that translate from English to Spanish. It's not that hard. We got to get programs installed so that parents can use it and utilize it and say, hey, this is the way I can talk to, the students or the teachers and administration board members from English to Spanish if that's the issue. We need, as much input from the community, what we can do for them. If it's doing either installing an app or being a translator at certain areas, that's what we need to do. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm gonna say something that a lot of people aren't gonna like right now. First of all, we need to stop discriminating against people who speak other languages. I think that a lot of times our administration and a lot of people within the school district look down at people who don't speak English, right? So that's the first thing, is we need to make sure that we're not discriminating against them just for the fact that they don't speak English. I know myself, having parents and a mother who only spoke Spanish, how difficult it was for her. How difficult it was for her to just navigate through the school. I know how hard, as a student whose first language was Spanish, how hard it was and how stigmatized I was for speaking Spanish, and how that put me below everybody else in my classroom. We need to make sure that we're reaching out in their language, right? We need to make sure that we're giving them the literature that they need so that they understand. We need to make sure that we have somebody in the schools that if the teacher doesn't speak Spanish, and I don't blame her, but we need to make sure we have somebody in all the schools that can translate for that parent and make sure that that parent's getting every resource that they deserve, that any other person speaks English is getting as well. We need to make sure that, and I know they do it at the school boards, that we have somebody at the school boards that can translate for them as well. In a nutshell, we just got to do better. We've got to do better for those parents that don't speak English, because they deserve everything just that our English speaking parents deserve, as well as they do. They're taxpayers, their kids go to our schools. And we need to respect the fact that they need help. Sometimes they need help. And we need to give them the help and the resources they need so that they become successful parents and their kids become successful students in our school.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
No.
Because we're speaking as if I have to defend what it is that's not being done. It's being done. Okay, it's being done in the school. The translation, but the bilingual education, be it for Spanish or be it for any other language, is being done. Luckily enough, we don't have other languages other than Spanish being spoken in the schools, but we have translators for that. Our bilingual department is excellent. Okay, so it's not as if it's not being done. It's being done. So, and that's a positive that we set, that's an expectation that the board has through via the superintendent, and he has activated that throughout his whole administration. He's making sure that these translators, that these people who don't speak English as a native language can get the education that they need, be it bilingual books, whatever avenue they need in order to get that education, be it phones, be it computers, be it programs that are in Spanish, be it books that are in Spanish, they're getting it done. If you have, I'm not saying it's 100%, okay, and that's the key. I don't think anywhere you go to, be it North Side, be it Alamo Heights, anywhere else who we feel has the money to do that, is getting it done. It's not being done 100%, 100+% in those district sites. We are doing a wonderful job here.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna repeat the question. Language barriers are a significant issue for many families in our community. What concrete steps will you take to improve language accessibility in school communications and services to ensure that non-English speaking families can fully engage with the school?
Okay. For one, me personally, I always tell everybody, my Spanish is chapa, Tex-Mex. But I personally will go ahead and do everything in my power to speak Spanish. I think and feel that we need to make those families feel special and feel like their word and their voice is valued. Because that's why they don't speak up. Because they feel like, you know what? For what? They don't understand me. They really don't care. I'm forgotten. My voice doesn't matter. And in reality, it does. I've had plenty of parents come to me and I tell them, you know what? I will go with you personally. I will go to whatever school you want me to voice. I'll be your voice. As much with my Tex-Mex Spanish, my Chapa Spanish, I'm there 100%. We also need to speak the language. As much as, yes, it's hard for us to learn a second language, but try. All the Spanish families, all they ask is to try. Try to speak it. As long as you try your best, they know that it's not 100%, but as long as you're trying, that's all that matters. And also, we need dual language schools here in Edgewood. We don't have any dual language. Roosevelt is not considered dual language. We need to do an 80-20 in Roosevelt. We need to have that dual language schools for those families that have Spanish as their first language.
Thank you, Doris.
I'm also not a very good Spanish speaker, but I'm willing to learn to speak Spanish and be everyone's voice in Edgewood. And I also believe that every Edgewood elementary, middle school, and high school should have a Spanish duolingo class. Because we need students to be able to learn Spanish and translate for their parents, especially. Because if we don't have the translator, we have our kids to learn Spanish. And we can have a translator, we can have, well, when I was learning Spanish in school, I use Google Translate a lot. It's not the best translator, but it helps for the most part. Gets the idea out there.
What specific measures would you support or implement to enhance school safety and improve the timeliness and accuracy of school alerts for the community? And we're gonna start with Mr. Richard Santoy.
It's a dual-edged sword. You either have it or you don't. The funding for it is not coming down from the state at all. We're having to fund from wherever we can pick it out of whatever budget we can figure it out of, having to fund it ourselves. Again, we had, like other districts in the city, had to apply for an exemption to have, according to the new law, you have to have one officer physically on campus at every school. That's not possible. For one, you don't have enough officers. For two, there's no money to pay them. And for three, it's not coming down from the state. So that's the biggest issue. It's not that we don't want the safety to be there. We're doing our job. Maybe not have one person, like I said, at every campus. But the rotation of whatever is being done by our police department, the job is getting done. We passed all our tests coming from the state, try and sneak in on us and try and open doors to schools. We passed every single one. Now tell me how we did that without a person being there, by the work and the effort of staff at each school to try and make that school safer. I wish we could have an officer at every school. I wish we could have an officer at every entrance school. It's not possible. The state doesn't give you the money. You know the budget crunch that not only Edgewood is going through, but every other district in the city and the state is going through. Without that, it's what they call an unfunded mandate. They mandate us to have the officers there. They're not giving us the funds.
Do you need me to repeat the question? What specific measures would you support or implement to enhance school safety and improve the timeliness and accuracy of school alerts for parents and community?
Well, find a way to get funding. Like Mr. Soboyo said, is that we need to find a way to get funding. Maybe speak to our representatives, see what we can do to get some proper funding so we can maybe get some more officers. Whether I don't know what the policy is on hand about maybe we can just get some security, maybe not just officers, maybe we can get some level 2 security officers that can actually be at the premises that are not, like I said, peace officers, because that's what we have as well, peace officers. See what else we can figure out. Maybe if what policies. He said we're doing a pretty good job right now as what it is. I don't know a lot about it right now. So I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of answers for you. But what I can try and do is, like I said, talk to state representatives and see what we can do to probably get more funding, or maybe even get them under funding, so we can get actual more officers at our campuses, so we can have better alert times.
I feel like it was very important. I said we need to have open communication with parents and students to encourage reporting of issues. Schools and should develop and enforce clear anti-bullying policies while implementing education programs to promote kindness and conflict resolution. To implement anti-bullying policies with kindness and conflict resolution program, schools should establish clear policies, train staff, and integrate empathy class lessons into the curriculum. Developing clear lessons into the curriculum, developing mentorship and organizing kindness events, and fostering positive culture, safe anonymous reporting system, and parents workshops will enhance support while regular assessments ensure effectiveness. Enhance traffic safety around school zones through collaboration with law enforcement can intimidate this from reckless driving. Additionally, partnering with community service can address the presence of homelessness individuals near schools. Ensuring safety while providing support, regular safety audits, and emergency preparedness drills are essential, along with offering mental health resources to fostering a supportive environment. Finally, encouraging parental involvement into safety initiatives can strengthen community ties and enhance overall school safety.
Can you all hear me back there?
Mhm.
All right, I actually don't need this. School safety it's a problem. I mean, let's face it, a lot of us, when we were in school, we didn't have to think about what the kids are thinking about nowadays, right? Am I gonna make it to school okay? Am I gonna get home? Is there gonna be problems with somebody at the school? Those are things that we didn't have to think about, and it's really a shame that our kids have to go through that. How can we alleviate this? I think Mr. Santoyo is right. We're not getting the funding that we need from the state to put in additional officers. We're not getting the funding that we need for mental health awareness, right? So we need to make sure that we're tapping into whatever resource we can get for the kids that they need for the mental health issues. We need to make sure that policies are being upheld for bullying in our schools, because that's one of the things that's happening. We need to make sure that parents aren't afraid to report, or kids aren't afraid to report. When they hear that something's happening in the school, we need to be very open about that and very transparent about that. I was talking to a parent today that has two sons going to Stafford Elementary. And they had a close down at the school. They closed the school down, a lockdown rather. And it was a drill, right? But the kids got scared and they never notified the parents that they were gonna have a drill. So when the kids get home, they tell the parents, we had a lockdown. Well, who's not gonna get scared? So we need to make sure that we're also communicating to our kids what's going on at the school, so that you don't hear about this from your kids and not know what was going on. Very important. Communication is very, very important. One of the things that we can also do is, I know that when I worked at Bexar County, we had reservist officers that were working either part-time or as volunteers at the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. Maybe we need to look at a way to bring some of those officers or officers that are retired in to either do volunteer or even work part-time at the school.
Time's up.
Sorry, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
What about rules?
Okay, we need to bring back, I don't know the name of the program, but we need to bring back the dad program. To have the dads into the schools to monitor. I remember when my daughter was in elementary, we had dads going around making sure, helping Edgewood PD. Not only that, we need to do random pop-ups to ensure the safety of our children. Not just give the school a heads up and say, hey, we're gonna come and check the school to make sure everything's able to be locked. That's giving the school a heads up. No, because guess what? The shooters is not gonna give the school a heads up. So we need to just do random pop-ups for the school. We also, they say there's no funding. We need to find the funding, cut the budget. Find the budget and get somewhere in there and find the funding to hire more Edgewood PD. We can find it in the budget because there's money there. Why are we spending money somewhere else when we can hire more Edgewood PD?
Given that parents universally want to be involved, how will you work to establish systems that allow continuous two-way communication? And how will you measure the success of these efforts? Okay, given that parents universally want to be involved, how will you work to establish systems that allow for continuous two-way communication? And how will you measure the success of these efforts?
Absolutely. Really, really important question, right? How do we stay in touch with our parents, and how do we make sure that we stay in touch with our parents? One of those ways is to actually be at the schools with the parents and talking to the parents, inviting the parents to our board meetings, right? Giving them a chance to speak up at the board meetings. You know, a lot of people are so scared to just stand in front of people. We need to encourage our parents to stand in front of people and speak. Because that's one of our problems. As Mexicanos, sometimes we're taught it's better to no digas nada, right? No digas nada. But we need to encourage our parents to speak up. But on top of that, we need to make sure that we're staying in touch with our parents. How do we do that? A phone call, right? Maybe calling our parents, sending out literature, acknowledging, we heard you, this is what you said. We know that you've got a concern and we're gonna address it. There's all types of communication. We could do it on the social media that the district has, right? But not everybody does social media. Maybe we need to be sending out mass text messages to all our parents to let them know what's going on and let them know how they can reply to those messages. We just need to make sure that we're using every resource available to our parents so that they're able to reach out to us and we're able to reach out back to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Best way we could do it is, and what I was thinking, maybe have some type of portal, that parents can freely ask questions or see what's going on. Make flyers, something that we can express what we got going on and as far as the board has going on to the parents so they can understand. Again, to make sure that our information is actually getting out there, quick survey. Hey, we sent this out. Did y'all get it? No? Okay, figure out why y'all didn't get it. Find out what we need to do to get it out there to y'all. Find out how we can, just find out a way to get it to y'all, because the parents are the ones that need to, have our trust. We need to be able to put the information out to y'all so y'all can understand it. Maybe a portal, like I said, a portal is gonna work. I think if y'all have a question y'all need to ask, y'all can go in there, quick question, boom, maybe one of the boards can answer. Hey, this is what we got going on. This is what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For one, I think making phone calls would be beneficial to the families because that gives us the opportunity to also hear whatever they have to say. Being transparent, of course, and also, you hand out literature to the students. That doesn't always mean that the parents are gonna get it, because I know for sure I don't get it. My daughter just throws it in the backpack and, okay, and unless I check her backpack, I'll find out what's going on at school. So again, using our family engagement department, not just having them there, just, oh, you know what, we're just gonna do a little get together and count that as family engagement. No, we need to get them involved because we pay them to get the families involved in schools. So let's use the family engagement and also surveys. We should do surveys in English and in Spanish, not just English. Thank you.
You don't necessarily hear from the parent who's made contact. They're not gonna tell you, oh, I made contact, and every single time they call the school. I guarantee you that there's more parents who are satisfied about communication than there are. And you hear, what you hear from the ones that aren't satisfied, and that's okay. Everyone needs to be included, whether you're not able to get through, you don't have the apparatus in order to receive the text, or be it telephone, be it computer, even be it hard copy, okay? They need to be addressed. They need to be included, okay? It's not gonna be 100%, but if you make the effort to say that you did try and contact it, I guarantee you that you will get an answer, be it from the teacher, if your question is for the teacher, be it the principal, or be it from administration, you will get an answer. You're not gonna get it right away, because other things are being done that particular moment, maybe. But like I say, you will not hear from the people who get across, but you will hear from the people who weren't able to have their the question and answer right away.
We need to allow the parents back into the schools, and literature could be a good idea, but don't have it to their kids, maybe when the parents are picking them up from from the school when they pick them up from the school. And, calling them is beneficial. If for the ones that are working, maybe a text message would be best, or leaving a voice message would be really good. And portals are really good, like Class Dojo, they give out information, but sometimes they don't really take that. They don't answer the parents' questions. So maybe the parent needs to talk to the principals or school at all, like, in general.
Thank you. All right. So I want to hear from you all in your most truest self. What does a true partnership between caregivers, your stakeholders, your parents, your community, what does that true partnership between them and schools look like to you? How will you foster that kind of partnership if you are a board member?
How does the partnership look like to me? With the school, families, and
Between communities, families, and the district.
honestly, collaboration. That's the word that comes to mind, where we're able to collaborate together. Not closing the community just because their child is no longer there. We need to be open, transparent, and also have access to, because just as much as we want change, well, our families want change. Their students want change. But it doesn't just go with families, it goes with students, because they're the ones living with it. They're the ones going through the motions. them, we can have that. Again, I've said it before, it's not about me, it's what I can do for you. So that's my thing, that's what I see is collaborating with one another, having the open door policy. Thank you.
Partnership, right, between a community, the school, the business partners. It's one simple word, it's inclusion, right? We all want to feel like we're a part of the solution. We all want to feel like we did our best and we're a part of this solution. We're a part of our school district. We're part of what's going on in Edgewood. So what does that mean? That means we need to make our parents feel that they're included, that their voices are being heard. We need to make sure that their voices, in fact, are being heard. That means that we need to be listening to our students and what their needs are, because, you know, and this is a double thing with the students and businesses, right? Our business partners are the folks in our communities. Of course, me being a neighborhood association president, we need to be reaching out to all our neighborhood associations, you know, letting them know what's going on in the district. But there's one thing that I want to say. When I say inclusion, we've got a campus right south of us, Port San Antonio, that has about 16,000 people working there, right? What can they do to feel included or to be included in the future of our kids? Because those are high-paying jobs. What can they do for us and what can we do for them so that our kids are getting those jobs, so that our kids are being trained? I'll give you another example. Inclusion. Not too long ago, I talked to the owners of a place called Central Electric. Central Electric is bringing in students from the north side and the south side, but not one student from the Edgewood district. We need to make sure, and they're training those kids to be electricians. That's a high-paying job now. If you've ever had to get an electrician, you know that it costs a lot of money to get that person there. That's a high-paying job. When they're offering Edgewood internships for our students, and we're not taking it up, we need to make sure that we do get our kids in there and our kids are learning. That's inclusion. Everyone has a stake in our district.
Thank you. Ms. Jubilee, do you want me to repeat the question? What does a true partnership between caregivers, your community, parents, and schools look like to you? How will you foster that kind of partnership between them, between the district and the stakeholders?
We need to be more collaborative and inclusive. We need to include everyone, because without the community, we're nothing. We need everybody to work together and improve what we want to improve. Collaborating, saying, oh yeah, this is what our student needs, and this is what we want to improve within the end. We need to be the voice of our community. We need to advocate for our students and everyone in our community.
Thank you, Mr. Jubilee. Mr. Sergio, same question. Do you need me to repeat the question?
The way the community looks to me, it's not, right now, it's not like an open book. Everything's hidden, you know. We need to find a way to be more transparent to the community, because right now, as a parent, no one, not a board member, I don't hear anything from, the board, so we need to figure out a way, maybe to be more transparent to the parents. So they can understand what's going on, what we have planned for the future for these kids, their kids, our kids. See what we can do. Find out if there's any opportunities to find maybe some type of early enrollment programs that we can help with, or as far as kids getting some type of programs. I'm a big advocate for military. Maybe getting some more recruiters in there, because the military is a great opportunity as well for kids. Get free education out of there, food, health, it's a great opportunity. So I'm a big advocate. If we can get more recruiters in there to talk about military, that would be great. Right now, I know there's some kids who want to talk to the military and they don't have that opportunity. So maybe we can get the recruiters, get in there to school and actually talk to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Mr. Richard Santoyo, do you need me to repeat the question? What does a true partnership between caregivers, stakeholders, parents, and schools look like to you? And how will you foster that kind of partnership?
What it looks like to me is kids coming, attending school. Right now, the attendance rate is horrible. You have, that's what the state funds you with, is your average daily attendance. The kids are not making it to school for whatever reason. They may have a job, they may not be forced to being forced at home to go to school. That's the collaboration I see is starts at home, okay? Sends the student to school, student gets taught, student gets nurtured, student gets fed, okay? He returns back the same way, right? Eager to do all that. That eagerness or that attitude of trying to get that student to come, it's not there. It's there for 80% or low 90% of the kids, but it's not there for all the kids. Collaboration I see is from home to the school. That's the collaboration I see. And the measurement is the graduation. If you can graduate 100% of the seniors you have going to school, then the collaboration, that pipeline is working perfectly. But it hasn't been working perfectly, even when I was in, back in '73. We always had, of course, absenteeism, but the percentages were higher. Why? That's a good question to have people look at. It begins at home. We have to start at home to try to get them.
Thank you, sir. All right. We're holding on in there, guys. Couple more questions and then you guys are up. 10 more minutes and then maybe some questions. Okay, here goes this question, and we're gonna start with Ms. Dorothy. How will you ensure that policies are not only adopted, but effectively enforced to guarantee consistent, transparent communication between schools and families on academic, social, emotional well-being, and other critical matters?
It's a simple answer. Listen to our community and our families. By listening to our communities and our families, that will assure that I made the right decision. However, our families just doesn't talk just to talk. They go ahead and they speak what they feel and what they feel is right. And with that, that's our job to listen to them. So honestly, it's just as simple as just to listen to our community and our families. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dorothy. Mr. Rudy?
Would you repeat that one more time?
Yes. How will you ensure that policies are not only adopted, but effectively enforced to guarantee consistent, transparent communication between families and schools based on academic, social, emotional well-being, and other critical matters?
Right. Well, policies are adopted all the time, right? We know that already, that's part of what a school board does, is they adopt policies. But that school board needs to make sure that it's communicating what those policies are exactly to the parents and making sure that they understand what those policies are. Now, when I worked at the San Antonio Police Department, one of the things that we did was we had to make sure that we set up a matrix for results. And if we didn't reach those results, then somebody was in trouble. Somebody had to be held accountable, right? So we need to make sure that if we're not meeting our goals, we need to be held accountable for that. We need to be able to answer to the parents for that. If it's in academics, if it's in social skills, whatever it's in. Because as a school board, we're the stewards of your money, and we need to make sure that that money is being spent correctly. And that's what policy is about. We're spending your money. We need to be able to communicate to you what our failures are, but not only what our failures are, but what we're going to do to improve on those failures. It happens. Things don't always go like they're supposed to. But when they don't go like they're supposed to, we need to be able to fix it. And we need to be able to answer to you as parents, as taxpayers. Because you pay a lot in taxes. And if it's not going right, then I'm accountable. The buck stops with me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Jubilee, do you need me to repeat the question? How will you ensure that policies are not only adopted, but effectively enforced to guarantee consistent, transparent communication between schools and parents regarding academic, social, emotional well-being, and other critical matters?
Continue to make sure we listen to them and try our best to help them and understand what their needs are.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Mr. Sergio? Same question.
So again, policies, like I said, Mr. Reed said it, they're adopted daily. The new policies adopted it, you know, almost every day. It's matter of fact, actually just making sure that they get enforced, that's the difficult part. Making sure they're actually getting told to the other parents or the community, the parents, hey, this is the new policy we got. This is what we're doing for the school. Hey, we're gonna be doing this with the required report cards, letting y'all know, hey, your kids are doing this in school, this is what's going on in school. Figuring out what we need to do again, from the community, listen to them, and just provide for them, and you know, figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Richard Sunday.
Our policies are made with the end point or the measure being student graduation, okay? From the time they get into pre-K to the time they get to 12th grade, that's our measure. Our policies are geared to allow that child, they adhere to our district, our school system, the time he graduates, to attain education he needs in order to function after high school, be it in college, be it at work, whatever he may want to do, he or she may want to do. Okay, those policies are made with the idea that the parents understand that if they have a question that insofar as, say, mental health of the child, that mental health, that is being addressed at the school. If there is a problem, that is transferred or given back and forth to the parent to try and help that child out, okay, insofar as mental health. But our main priority is to graduate the student, okay? So our policies are geared towards, we don't implement the policies ourselves, those policies are implemented by administration. They're not being done correctly, we're not having the students graduate, then there's a problem. And we address that as a board, we address that to the superintendent, and he is one who implements it. We don't see the result.
Thank you. You can stay up.
Sure.
I'm gonna go back
Sure.
that way. In your opinion, what is the most critical need for your district, Edgewood, in terms of improving educational outcomes? And how will you work to ensure that every child in Edgewood receives a high quality?
I think, like I said all along, education starts at the home. Where is at home? Grandma, the sibling, or actual parent. So the education starts there. We can say money, we can say budget, that doesn't count. If the child that he is getting the education that he needs, then that's the biggest effort. We can translate that to the child to who it is they set out to do. If they attain the education that they need to attain, if they do afterwards, after school, after graduating, what they need and what they wanna do, then that's the biggest apple, or the carrot, you can nail on the problem. But they need to believe. If they don't believe, then you've already lost half the battle, okay? But they need to believe. And that's why I chose to get involved, to be an example for them, to say, it's not an anomaly, it's not just a chance, happening, that people like me are getting to schools, not just here in San Antonio, but outside, going outside the state, outside into the other surrounding states, going to California, going to the East Coast. You need to stop thinking that that's all you can do. If we can get that across and bring their aspirations up, then I've done what I set out to do.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sergio, would you like me to repeat the question? In your opinion, what is the most critical need for your district of Edgewood in terms of improving educational outcomes? And how will you work to ensure that every child in Edgewood receives a high-quality education? What is the most critical need in Edgewood?
Well, critical need is getting the funding. Find out the way where we can get funding for these schools. We don't have the funding, we don't have the teachers, we don't have the schools. We're gonna continue to close down schools. That is not what we need. We need, in more schools, we can get more funding, more enrollment means more funding, so that we can get better, better quality teachers, if that, and, provide more for these students. These kids need everything, nowadays, everyone needs help. So if we can just find a way to get the funding is the biggest issue that I see in this community as far as it goes. Funding.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Jubilee, do you want me to repeat the question? In your opinion, what's the most critical need in Edgewood in terms of improving educational outcomes, and how will you work to ensure that every child receives a quality education?
I believe it's also funding, because if we don't have the right funding, we don't have any right to. Because Edgewood doesn't have a lot of tools for mental health, and a lot of the students are struggling, especially during COVID. A lot of people would call me saying that they want to commit suicide, and it wasn't like a pleasant thing for me to hear, because our students shouldn't be feeling suicidal or any of those kind of emotions. They should be feeling like they're good enough, that they're worth everything. And it was mainly because early college was a hard thing, especially during COVID. We didn't have those right teachers, and it was mainly online, and then most of our teachers wouldn't even really meet with us. We didn't have the face-to-face contact. We didn't have those teachers. It was just, here's an assignment, do it, this is how you do it. We need those certified teachers in our classrooms and in special education classrooms, because most of the teachers there are like music teachers, substitutes, and they don't have the right education to teach these students and know how to handle them. We need those teachers that know how to handle the early college students, because they're at a higher level of learning that we need to ensure that they get there. And whether they don't want to go to college, we need to ensure that they get the education that they want, whether it be military, career, or college readiness. We need to ensure that they're met with Edgewood. And without the funding, we can't do any of that.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Rudy, would you like me to repeat the question?
Go ahead, that's fine.
Okay. In your opinion, what is the most critical need of your district, Edgewood, in terms of improving educational outcomes, and how will you work to ensure that every child in Edgewood receives a high-quality education?
Right. First of all, the most critical need in Edgewood is we need to learn how to compete with our charter schools. That's where our kids are going. They're going to charter schools. We need to look at what they're doing. Why are our kids leaving? Why are our parents taking them there? And we need to learn how to emulate that in our schools. Enrollment is an issue. If we don't have enough kids, we don't get the funding, right? That's why we're closing schools, and we don't want to close any more schools. That's a given. So it's competition. We need to learn how to compete with the charter schools, first of all. Second thing is we need to make sure that our kids are meeting all the standards that are set before them, that they actually are learning how to read and write and math, right? Math is very important. It's very, very important in the real world. The other thing we need to do is we need to make sure that everyone, from the school board to the teacher, is being held accountable for what's going on in that classroom, and to make sure that, in fact, our kids are learning, right? Lastly, the other thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that our kids are leaving school, they're graduating, prepared. If that means going to college, we need to make sure that they are going to college, that they selected the college that they want to go to before they leave, and make sure that they've got everything that they need to attend that college. The other thing we need to do is, we know that not all kids are college bound, right? They don't want to go to college, and we know that. But we need to make sure that we're offering the traits that they need to know to get a very well-paying job. There was a time that we had the trades in the schools. We really don't have that anymore. Like I said earlier, we have folks in the community, businesses that are willing to train our kids. Plumbers, electricians, mechanics. They make a lot of money now, right? Cyber. You really don't need a lot of college education for that, but if we can find a company that'll train our kids, that's what we need to be doing.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Ortiz, do you need me to repeat the question? Got it.
First things first is we need to look at the data. We have it in front of us. And with the data, we make the changes. We need to make sure that when we're using the data and we're using tutoring as, we need to make sure that tutoring is helping our kids, not just giving them a tablet after school. We're actually, the teachers actually teaching what the child needs. If the child needs to read, the teacher is doing that one-to-one. I understand that during the classroom, she's not able to do it, but tutoring, that's where the one-to-one comes in. We need to use our map tests that we do during schools. That map test, we teach our parents how to read those test results. And then we come in collaborations with the teacher and the families to see what we can do together to collaborate to help the child become successful. That's how we get the quality education the student needs. Thank you.
What is the definition of plática?
The definition of plática in English is talking, like gossiping one another, but it's not, for Edgewood, it's not really gossiping. That was supposed to be originally for community and parents to go ahead and say their needs to the superintendent. However, that has changed, and that's more of a presentation for the superintendent. That's where the superintendent comes and says, you know what, this is what all I've done and everything, but in reality, that's supposed to be a chance for the families and the community to come together and tell the superintendent what the needs are and the changes are. And we need to go back to that.
Does anybody want to respond?
So what is plática to me? I know that as a neighborhood president, we did pláticas. As a matter of fact, with a gentleman here, we met at his house. And what that meant to me was to meet the people where they're at, right? Not everybody has a chance to get to the school board building. Not everybody has time to get down there. But when you can meet the people at their houses, in their neighborhoods, in their communities, and talk to them and listen to their concerns and let them know that they're being heard, that's what a plática is to me. Now, what happened in Edgewood, I don't know. But I can guarantee you that if we continue doing pláticas, I'm gonna listen. We need to be listening. We need to be meeting our communities, our parents and our kids where they live, and not all the time in a stuffy boardroom. So that's what it is to me.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to respond? It's an open.
the misconception of the Plática not being what it should be. If you, that's, it's designed for the superintendent to get feedback from the people, okay? So if there's a board member there, I think there is at least one there in every Plática, okay? But the business is not to, address that board member. The business is for the superintendent to present what he feels is, again, we're talking about communication. You want to talk about communication between parents and the administration. That's an avenue for it, okay? The superintendent makes a presentation. Sure, he can make a presentation, but I'm sure he doesn't divert any questions coming to him. He'll answer them. One or two Pláticas that I've attended, he's answered them. Okay, it may not be, everybody asking the same question, or everybody getting the same information, wanting the same information, but the Plática is they're being recalled or being, because what was going on, the school closure and all the budget cuts or whatever, that was not part of the administration's, agenda to try and get out to the public. And now they're being restarted. There will be Pláticas coming up this school year. They will be reestablished, but again, it may not be what you intend for it to be discussed, goes back and forth between the superintendent and the public or the parents. But you can make it that way. If you are there, you can ask the questions you want to ask, and it will be answered. It will be answered. I've been assured of that by the superintendent. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to respond on the Pláticas?
It means listening and understanding our community and meeting them where they want and just not ignoring them, addressing their problems, and just knowing what they want and what they need in our community.
Thank you. Okay, is that it? We can move on? All right. All right, we're gonna do lightning round because we want to make sure that these questions get asked. So we're gonna do 1 minute each, not 2 minutes. And because some people are asking multiple questions. And I don't know if you all know this, right? But the question is, what will be done with the campuses that are closed? And if you don't know, what do you think should be done with the campuses that are closed? Would anybody like to respond? Oh, you can.
I'll address that because I have first-hand knowledge. We're exploring avenues with Port SA, for Winston. There has to be, if we have, for example, right now we have, some improvements to schools that need to take place. So maybe the students will not be able to be on campus for that particular year, and they'll be moved to the other school for in the interim because of construction or whatever. But yes, those issues are being addressed. They're just not finalized yet. Port SA for Winston, and other schools for students to be housed while their improvements are made.
Thank you. Who's next? Dorothy?
I don't know what's gonna happen to the schools, however, I feel that those schools should be a one-stop shop for families. Meaning that's where you get your food if the families are in need. Families need to find a job, we have those resources there for those families. Whatever the family needs, that's your one-stop shop. They don't need to be driving to the north side. They don't need to be driving to go to the food bank wherever they have those mega distributions. We will have it there at one of the schools that are closing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So yeah, we've got two schools that were closed, which Wren and Winston. Now, I wasn't sure what was happening to the schools, because I haven't heard very much from the district about what was happening to the schools, so thank you, Mr. Santoy, for letting us know what's gonna happen with Winston. Now, I think the other part of that question is, what would I like to be, see at the schools, right? I'm about empowering our families, and when I say empowering our families, that means educating our kids. But I think I said this earlier, that we have parents that have jobs that are just paying minimum wage, bare minimum wage, right? So when I say empowering families, I'm also talking about using the schools to help educate our parents, so that our parents aren't struggling all the time and they're able to spend more time with the kids. So I'd like to see some type of adult continuing education in our schools, so that our parents are given a chance to move up. Thank you.
Right here. We'll put you on the
I
spot.
think Jubilee wanted to answer that.
Okay. Let Jubilee answer.
Hold on one second, we're gonna give you the center stage here.
Let's finish with this question and then we can go. Go ahead.
I'm very for mental health and tutoring, as I mentioned before. I think it should be a wellness center and, we should hire like counselors, like psychologists for our students and community. And it could be like a built-in, gym, because our physical health and our mental health matters. And another, well, I was mentioning the tutoring, because we don't have the right tools, and a lot of our teachers say that they don't get paid enough to tutor our students. So having that other facility being used for tutoring to ensure our students' education and they could succeed in education. Edgewood, I don't think it's right where our graduation rates is at 85%. It should be more higher, and our attendance rate is very low too. We shouldn't be that low. It should be at least in the 90%.
Thank you. Anybody else want to address that question before we move on to a new question? Okay. Public comment.
My name is Jose Arzola. I'm the past Van Booster President under Kennedy, PTA Council President at Edgewood. And I've been hearing from you guys about funding, and it takes more money, we don't have enough money. I don't understand, if we don't have money, how the superintendent got a big pay raise. And also, his contract was extended. So what I'm thinking, it's an old fact, TA, about the same, that Edgewood is top heavy in administrators. And yet they continue to pay them and keep them after declining enrollment and closing down schools. So I cannot accept that there's no money. You got the money, you just know how to spend it. If you need advice, hire me and I'll show you how to spend it. Thank you.
My name is Roman Pena, and I'm the commander of the American Jewish Corps of Bear County. Several months ago, we addressed the board concerning the closure of several schools in the district. And we passed in our chapter a motion and a resolution that we wanted to save Edgewood. We want to save it. It's up to you guys, do it, because if you're on the board, you have the power to make it happen. So you as an incumbent, you've been there through the whole process of the closure of the school. What are you going to do to prevent any further school closure? Can you answer that question?
Well, you can hold it, I'll speak to you, I'll speak a little bit louder, you can hold it. You can hold it. Other than having more children attend our schools from wherever, you have other districts with no enrollment also, they're declining enrollment. Charter schools, contrary to what Mr. Lopez said, are losing schools also. I've spoken to some people from I take it back. One charter school I know, I'm not gonna say it in general. One charter school I know has declining enrollment, okay? So you tell me where all those kids are going, I don't know where they're going. And they're not going anywhere, they're just not there anymore, the kids are not there anymore, okay? So, just like the money is not there. If I can answer Ms. Sarasona's question, the reason we pay that man $6,000 more, we paid him $6,000 more for his 8th year of being a CEO of a corporation called Edgewood ISD. That's what we paid him, $6,000 more. You go anywhere else to pay a CEO $6,000 more, see if he doesn't quit you or go somewhere else. That's a fact. Okay, he's been our CEO for going on 8
Thank you.
years. If you don't give your CEO increments of a pay raise, you're gonna lose that CEO. We cannot afford to lose Dr. Reed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Is
sir.
that another question, or you want to go back and forth? Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, I'm here, okay?
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to respond? I think that was a pretty, knowledgeable question and specific.
Can I respond?
I would just like to respond to that comment.
First of all, we know we have some charter schools, but one of the main reasons why decreased enrollment is going down, we're not having babies anymore.
Thank you, thank you.
Come on, you gotta be realistic. People are not having babies like they used to. I remember when we were growing up, they're having 12 children and 10 children. They're not having children like that anymore. A lot of young adults are moving back home and with their parents to help out. So let's be realistic. That question should be digest and researched a little better.
Yep.
And not bring it up because that's what's going on in our world.
Exactly.
You know, so come on, let's be realistic. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, given that there is a line, and I love that, I just want to, in one word, no, you're good. I want to make sure that there's some comments, not questions. I will read those after. There's suggestions, and there is some questions, but this one I think we can cover with one word. What would you change or move, what would you change or do to move EISD into the future? What would you change? Maybe in one word. And we can go down the line. I'm gonna start over here. What would you change in one word?
One word? Personal, students obeying themselves, sorry, that's 3. Students obeying.
What would you change to move EISD into the future?
Early college, we have special ed.
Program.
So one word, right? One word. I think instruction pretty well. Technology.
What would you change to bring EISD into the future? Transparency. What would you change to take EISD into the future?
Superintendent.
First, I do want to say that you guys are doing a fantastic job with some of the resources that you have. I know that everybody is very quick to complain, but we see all the positive stuff that is happening out there. And the reason that there's not more complaints is because it's always the same people that are tying up the public comment with the same complaints. It doesn't stop. And we're talking about mental health. The people that are constantly being very negative and rude and undercutting and making very rude and disrespectful comments to the board members, that affects their mental health too. So what are y'all gonna do about stopping the bad behavior that's coming from that special group of complainers? Because You guys have been talking about a lot of stuff, but have y'all even read the board policies? Because a lot of the stuff that y'all are talking about, it's being done. You're talking about parent engagement, parent involvement. The problem isn't that it's not there. It's we have bad parents. They're not bringing their kids to school. We have bad parents. They're not bringing them in. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. You can't blame the board of directors for that. They don't parent your child. And I mean, I have a list of stuff, but I think y'all need to read your board policies and really know what's going on in the schools, because everything that you guys are saying that we need to do, it's being done. It's being done. So I'm just trying to figure out, do y'all even know? When's the last time you went to a board meeting and really sat down and seen what they've done? There's a lot of positive recognition going out to these people. And if you don't do that research, you have no idea. What's happening is you're listening to these little birds, these chismosas. That's what's happening.
Ms. Lisa, what is your question?
What do y'all think is when y'all are up there and you're dealing with the same stuff? Have you read the policies? Because I don't think y'all have.
Well, if there's policies there, why don't we know about it? Why isn't there enough information put out? That's the answer. That can't be the answer. It's gotta be pushed out. It's gotta be pushed out, right?
Hold on.
It's gotta be pushed out.
You have a turn, you have a turn. Let Ms. Dorothy respond, then you can go next.
Okay, for one, I personally do not want to criticize a parent's parenting. We cannot criticize parents' parenting. Because for one, there is not a rule book on parenting. Then again, I guess you can say I'm a bad parent, but yet I'm involved. I'm involved and I have 2 kids. Not only that, 4. Because I'll add my niece and nephew to that. I am just involved. PTA, I was involved in Edgewood. However, there's no PTA, only for 2 schools. Let's increase for PTA. Let's not criticize our parents. Let's not criticize them for being poor parents. We don't know what those families go through. Let's not talk bad about our parents and our families. We do not know what they go through.
Who else would like to respond?
Okay. I don't know that. I don't even know. As the president of the neighborhood association, I know what you're talking about. You have the naysayers that come up all the time and keep coming up and keep coming up and speak up and not a turn, right? I know that. But what I do know is that everybody deserves to be heard. Good parents, bad parents, they all deserve to be heard. Have I been to school board meetings? Yes, I have. I have been to school board meetings. I'm actually serving on the Edgewood Safety Commission. So I know about policy. But the one thing I will say is, I know what you're saying. It's frustrating. You just want to take some people sometimes and wring their necks, but you can't do that because everybody deserves to be heard. Yeah.
Who else would like to respond? Is there a response? Finish your comment.
All right, next up. Please, guys, I know we have like a lot of criticisms and sentiments. Ask a question so that they can answer.
Good evening, for being here today. My name is Sylvia Slocum. I am a teacher and also candidate for State Representative 134. Teachers are very important to our students' future. They influence children every single day. And everyone will say, I remember that special teacher. She changed my life. What will you do? What will you do to recruit the best talented teachers to the school district so that they can have the best teachers and the best opportunities possible to get a good education? And what will you do to retain these teachers?
Thank you. Who would like to go first?
I don't need it. First of all, thank you for being a teacher, because I know that it's a tough job. I've got 2 sisters that are teachers, one of them is retired now. And I would hear everything that they had to go through in a day with the kids, the parents, especially administration. I will say this, there's two things in that comment that you made. And you know this as well, that all teachers talk to each other, right? And if it's getting paid 52,000 or 60,000 over here, the one thing that a lot of teachers don't feel is that they're a part of the system. They feel that the morale's not there. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to make our teachers feel that, in fact, they're a part of the solution. We need to be talking to our teachers. And when you have that morale in your teachers and the teachers, they talk to other teachers and the other teachers say, you know what? I'm only making a little bit more, but they listen to them over there. We need to make sure that our teachers feel empowered. They're feeling the morale and they're feeling like they're a part of a solution and not just a part of a problem. And that's how you're going to retain those teachers. Because I can tell you that working for the city and being a supervisor and having people that work for only 40,000 a year, the turnover was really low for me because I always made sure that my employees felt like they were a part of the office, making solutions, coming up with solutions and making policy with me. That makes a huge difference when you make somebody feel like they are part of a team. Pretty simple.
Would anybody else like to respond?
I say for one, we need to listen to our teachers. And when I say listen, let's just say there's one teacher in particular. If she loves to teach pre-K, we need to put her where she loves to teach. Not just put her in 5th grade because because we think that our scores are gonna be better. Teachers have a passion and we need to put them where their passion is. Whether it's in first, there's teachers for every grade level. And we need to put them there.
Anybody else?
Read writing used to be called a noble profession, but it's not a noble profession anymore. Only the people who are really in there to teach, for them it's a noble profession. Now it's a question of, like you said, 52 here, 60 over there. And even that, they're leaving in droves. It's not the job they thought it was going to be. The kids are not the kids that they remember growing up with or growing up as. They're not the same. It's a different culture, it's a different mentality now for the students. And that's brought to the teachers. And the teachers, if they're not, for example, if they're not in the right mindset, they don't want to do it from the heart. They're not going to do it. They're leaving in droves, and it's sad. To reiterate what the lady said at the end of the table, people who want to do it and teach, and show the other teachers how to teach. If you don't have that mentorship, and the teachers even, you don't have that mentorship, it's not going to work.
Hi, my name is Pete Bernal, Vice Commander of the Bexar County, GI Forum. I'm sorry, I'm a PTSD. I have a brain injury, and I'm graduated from John F. Kennedy High School. That's one thing, it's hard for me to, I would like to, but like some of y'all, like you said, you gotta have pride. The pride is left us. The pride is seen to that where I go, it's scary to say I come from JFK. You've seen us at the bottom 50% of in the state. That's scary for me to say I'm from JFK. When people say like, well, if they want to hire me, we gotta start being at the top. I want to see us at the top. And the thing is I have a couple of questions. I agree with some stuff you said. I agree with a lot of stuff that you said. Change is evident. Changes, and then you said you gotta believe. Like, that was a big thing. Yes, we believe, but where it starts, where I believe at, is at schools. Because if the people are there gonna teach me how to believe, then I know that I'm gonna be able to do whatever I can get once I graduate cross stage. You wouldn't be having her run if she believed in herself, that's saying that there's kids out there that don't believe in themselves.
And then she says there's not stuff happening in the school. She's the youngest one here. Running, she wouldn't be running if she would not know that she didn't get what she needed. That's the scariest thing right there, because she's running at the youngest age and she just graduated and she felt like there's other kids that didn't get what they needed. Now, my question is, given that the financial challenges including declining enrollment and potential school closures, how does it justify raising taxes in the community? Because I think it's been told that we raising the taxes in the community. And what specific outcomes, improvements does the board expect to achieve with additional revenue? And how does the taxes increase directly affect students and the district's overall performance? That's the biggest thing, the overall performance. If we're increasing the taxes, if we're paying people increases and stuff, then they're doing something right. But we're at the bottom 50%. It doesn't make sense. And people say, okay, what can we do? What can we do? One thing we could do is, hey, we got closures. Let's sell the property, put that in the escrow account and make sure that money is getting used back to paying teachers, right? And use the interest to pay teachers, right? There's ways to do things that, if you look at the money, the way it's been do, and you know what? I could say that I got my degree, I got 2 degrees after 40 years later. And it's a marathon. I'm gonna tell you, if any of you don't have a degree, it's a marathon, it's not a race. I did it because slowly wins the race. I'm just saying, you know, if any of y'all want to answer, that's fine, but it's just, look at it. I hear what she said. She says, hey, have you read the policies? Have you procedure? Y'all are new. I'm gonna tell you, walk into that boardroom as a new person, you're gonna learn some of the things you said you can't probably do, but when you're gonna learn how to do it right. And the question is, if we're doing the stuff like she says, we're doing the stuff that she says, are we doing it right? That's the biggest question. Are we doing it right? Because right now I can say she wouldn't be running if we were doing it right. Thank you.
Okay, so we are at time, but I want to honor the people that are still in line. So if you all want to stay, I would appreciate if you did. And then I will also wrap up with the suggestions that I have here. But I want to honor the people that are standing and asking their questions, but we are at time and I just want to acknowledge that.
That's the most important guy right there.
Can you have known when not here? A long time. My name is Jose Macias, and of course I work at the West Side. Just to give you perspective, I feel like an outsider, even though I've been here a long time. My grandparents built a home in 1955 on 36th Street. That was my home. My parents graduated from Kennedy High School. I have tons of cousins and family that are from the West Side still live here. But I actually have the benefit of also serving as a board of trustees for Edgewood ISD. I'm on my 4th term, and that only happens to push transparency, to push inclusion. You don't ignore, you accept input from everyone to help truly lead a community. And obviously the divisiveness, I won't get into that, it's been very evident that there's divisiveness on the Edgewood board. So my real quick question is this: no one has really addressed the funding cliff that we're about to see with the advent of vouchers. And when vouchers come, they're going to be paying students $10,500 with no questions asked, meaning no accountability. They're just going to say, you want it? Here you go. That's going to create variables in budget and planning. And Edgewood's already suffering from low enrollment. I assure you, there will be parents that take advantage of those vouchers. And how are you guys going to prepare for that cliff?
Those rubber banks, you can do. Because the money's not there. And if I take it back, it is there. $6 billion sitting on Abbott's desk. He won't release it. He won't release it. He only released it when he gets these vouchers passed this next session. Like you said, he's gonna pay the voucher kids 10.5. He's gonna pay our kids, public school kids, $6,500, $6,600.
$6,160.
I'm talking, okay, then it's going, it's even a bigger gap, okay? So why? Why? Because we have these people that are elected that will not, that have their own personal agendas, for whatever reason it is,
they wanna get it across, and they're gonna, because they have the power, they're gonna get it done. Come hell or high water, come this session, this special session, this special session, the next special session, they're gonna get it done. Because they have the power to do it, because they've been reelected, because now, Abbott's last few years are coming up. He's gonna get this thing passed before he leaves, okay? So, what can we do other than
You encourage people to come out to vote against it.
exactly. But when they lifted out in Uvalde. What happened in Uvalde? They re-elected him in Uvalde, their vote. What does that tell you? It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Well, my one point to respond is this. This is a time when we need to be united, because at this point, we're already divided here, we're fighting. This really, as Mr. Pinckney said, we need to be focused on Governor Abbott and funding. And if we can raise basic allotment, we will end up helping our funding situation. We need to advocate for that.
Ask if I can do that real fast.
I want to address it. We need to assure
I'm gonna hand them out.
that we won't lose the kids that we have right now by providing the quality education that they need. We need to assure our families and parents that we have their backs, so those vouchers, if they, in case they do, our plan is to keep our families in place where they are right now.
Wanna do our award real fast?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Diana Castillo. I just want to come to y'all and let y'all know that my family lives here at 37th Street, so all my nephews from Edgewood, so that's not here. But my question to you is, I want to know what role would you play if you were to get that seat, that board? What role will you play in making sure that all our children are gonna be able to read, write, and have the proper education to go face life skills and get a great job, or maybe enter into college, making sure they can get that test and be allowed to attend college? Because we all know that it's not only Edgewood, it's all over. Our children are being neglected our education. They're passing them, and they're not at the grade level they should be. So what will you play in that role as a board member?
Can I respond?
Rudy and Lincoln.
Personally, me, every student in Edgewood, whether I'm elected or not, are my babies. Those are my kids. So to ensure that they get the proper education, because guess what? My child was one of them. So we have to hold, just as much as we hold our parents accountable, we have to hold administration, teachers, and the principal. And if they don't get if they're not meeting the quota, guess what? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're asking me what role I'm gonna play on that board? I'm the boss. When I was a boss, people had to answer to me. And I held them accountable for what wasn't happening. And I'm gonna do the same thing. But the other role I'm gonna play as a boss is whatever's not working. Again, like I said earlier, the buck stops with me. I need to answer for that. I need to be accountable for that. And I will answer to you when it's not happening the way it's supposed to.
What I was doing, what we're doing right now. We present, goal for our superintendent to meet. Is that gonna be the goal that everybody from 0 to 10 in 1 year? We've made progress. The district has made progress. In fact, we've even beaten the state in a few areas as far as progress. Like I said, it's not huge increments. 1 or 2 points. Those 1 or 2 points mean that we're heading in the right direction. And what I would do is keep most of these programs we have, because they're going in the right direction.
Okay, I think that wraps up our questions.
But I do want to ask everyone what place they're running, because the community wants to know, what's your place? Who are you running against? If you want to add that, but what is your place?
Dorothy Borjas for place 4 against Martha Castilla.
Hi, my name is Rudy Lopez. I'm running for school board and I'm running for place 5. And I'm asking you for your vote, su apoyo.
I am Jubilee Betty. I'm also running for place 5.
I'm Sergio Delgado. I'm running, for place 7 against Mr. Sandoyle. Thank you.
I'm ready again. Pedro, in place 7 also.
Thank you so much. Now, there is some questions that didn't get asked, and I'm gonna commit to sending these questions to the candidates, and they should answer. But I also have call to action for you all. Before I do that, there is a couple of comments from a couple of community members. Maybe we should combine the 3 high schools into one and make a beautiful one. More upgraded, maybe our students won't leave us, and maybe we would have more teachers that would want to come and teach at our Edgewood students. Also, our parents won't move to other districts to have their students go to better schools. We can all have this here at Edgewood, improve our schools and keep our students. That is a comment. Ensure safety over increasing pay of big officials. Really taking a look into the board's budget without being afraid to ask those questions. Where's our money going? And that was it. So with that, I want to say thank you to all the candidates. It is not easy to all to sit up here and be asked these questions that they didn't know. So I appreciate everybody that showed up tonight. I appreciate every single candidate that came tonight. And I'm gonna say this meeting was recorded. You will be sharing it out on our Facebook page. I will share it out with the list if you did sign up and you put your email and your number. Please share it out with your community, because I hope that this helps you understand what these candidates represent and help you make that vote. And please register to vote. You still have time. If you did get any of our pamphlets, or if you want to scan the QR codes and you need information about registering to vote, please do that or stay behind and we can help you do that. And here's Mr. Timo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Maribel. First of all, I want to thank our candidates for taking time out in a busy schedule to be here, but also thank everybody that came tonight. Thank you for, it's telling us a lot. Goes to your heart. And they did bring up the vouchers, and I know me and Mr. Arizona has always had a problem with TEA, and TEA is getting ready to get shook up because of vouchers. So teachers, who I have several nieces that work in Aldine, Leaf, ISD, and it's gonna get shaken up through this. So we don't even know what's gonna be there, one of these days. You don't know that. Because TEA is really needs to be shaken out. And first of all, I would like to say thank you again, because this is it just tugs at my heart to have all these people come out. And I want you I want to challenge you also. When you go home today, look in the mirror at yourself and ask the question, what can I do? What can I do? Because Dorothy did bring up an awesome point. All these children that's going to school, they might not belong to us, but they are our kids. Because they're gonna be making those major decisions one day when we're sitting on the porch watching. And if you're negative to those children, it's gonna come back, karma is gonna come back and haunt you. It's gonna come back and haunt you. So show them love. Show the parents love. Because it's no roadmap for parenting. It's no roadmap. We're all in this thing together. Everybody's sitting in this room, one bloodline. We're all family. One bloodline, one people. So if you look at that, and you believe in what the Bible says, everybody here is related. We might be 1 million cousins, but we're related somewhere. because we came out of that same bloodline. Because the first bloodline was who? Adam and Eve. What came after Adam and Eve?
Apple.
Yeah, the apple tree, that's correct. And then the earth was destroyed, right?
According to history, we come from several different bloodlines.
Well,
We're not gonna get.
well, I have a friend that told me the same thing. And I went and found it in the Bible, and I changed his mind. I want to change his mind. So I want to do my awards real fast. So, and I'll let you have the floor, but I want to thank Maribel because this lady was the best fucking moderator. Better than CNN, better than Fox, better than NBC. You did an awesome job, but you have to understand, she's walked into the shoes of a parent. So it tugs at her heart. And I worked with disability children for the Head Start program, so I know where she's coming from. It's a love and it's a commitment there. So we appreciate you. And I didn't get to go by that restaurant that you wanted to, but this gift card that I did get you is from several major restaurants that you can choose which one you want to eat at. So thank you again for being the moderator, one of our sponsors. And thank you for what you do at Mind Shift Ed. We appreciate you. Keep up the great work. Right now, we probably have I don't know, maybe 10,000 gifts and talents that sit in this room. Connect with some of these people that sit in this room. Connect. There's some awesome gifts and talents in here. Let's use each other for the betterment of our children. I want to give the next gift to Mr. Jose Macias from Unity 37 for all the work he's doing. Thank you. And I'm on. Yes, it's on there. And Miss Melody Herrera, she's another one of our coordinators. And her and Aggie was, I'm not gonna say where Aggie's at, because she's happy. She's giving, bring some money back to our scholarship fund. And she give that to Aggie as well. I'm gonna let Miss Maribel do the other two. Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate the words, you all. We are all here committed because we care about our kids and their well-being. And so I know that there's a question here. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I will honor Mr. Timothy's request for Veronica Callejas for volunteering. I appreciate her taking the time. And we had time to work. Veronica.
Sure, the volunteer.
And my other volunteer is not here.
But please mention her name.
My other volunteer, Delia Ruiz, her son has strep, so she had to say X-nay. But thank you so much.
We're a team.
And we have one last question.
Parent and the taxpayer. But I also see what's going on at the school. And my question is, how much is your family worth? Because safety is not there. And my life, we got to take it. My kids are safe, and I see it. But I'm the chief most that. You know, I tell people, hey, watch for your kids. Watch for your kids. This is what's going on because it's going on. And we're paying for these securities. What are they doing? They're on their phone and all that, you know? So I am that chief most that. So. My money goes to the taxes and all that. And I have 3 properties that I gotta pay.
Yes. How much is your family worth?
Just as much as my family's worth, you're worth to me, you're priceless, because you're irreplaceable.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh.
My family has no price, just like your family has no price. They're valuable to me. You're valuable to me. Everybody in here is valuable. Everyone should have a chance to speak up, just like you spoke up. She's Mosa or not. We all have a right to speak up. We all have a voice. And we need to make sure that those voices are heard. For far too long, our voices have not been heard. So we need to make sure that those voices are heard. Again, chismosa or not. But I'll tell you what's valuable to me. All the kids in Edgewood District are valuable to me. Because it takes a village. It takes a village. So what I need to say next is that to make our voices heard, you need to go out and vote. Everybody needs to go out and vote. Yeah, make sure you're getting out there and making your voice heard. Thank you.
You're gonna get the vote out. How you gonna get the vote out?
Popcorn. Everybody.
Let's take everybody on a ride. Anybody else? All right, guys. Thank you so much. If somebody wants to ask, go ahead.
My family is
Yeah,
first,
thank you.
and Edgewood is my family, and we need to ensure that our kids are getting what they want, because everyone's valuable in our community, and we need to change our community.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you all. You have a good night and sit behind if you have questions.